on a Venus day, and it's going to be a short episode just because I don't really have battery. So let me find it. Okay, that's the chart of where we at. Let's change it to my current location, and I'm in the south of Israel right now. Um, it's Venus Day Sun Hour, and Venus Hour is coming up. The ascendant is in Cancer, the moon is in 27 degrees Cancer, separating from a trine with Neptune. It's not aspecting Venus, but Venus here we can see is conjuncting with Chiron almost to the minute and still in conjunction with Jupiter. And Mercury has ingressed into Pisces, which is a separate video that I'll do later. Um, so just to re-emphasize the Venus Chiron, Venus is also about our voice being heard in the world, and although Mercury is in Pisces, where it's more difficult to communicate, um, today we may uh, purge or come into a new realization around values, women, there's also Venus, the way we look, if that's your first house, perhaps your personal appearance, healing the wound around your personal appearance, and our voice. So sensitivities arise at this day, especially when the moon will enter Leo. It will start applying to trine, this triple conjunction, and your in Aries, your sense of self is the thing that you are healing. It can be about radical acceptance of your beauty, your voice, the way you sound, the way you sing, your values, what do you appreciate in life, your Martian values as well, because this is Mars ruled. Mars is in Gemini, really tightly applying to square Neptune, with Mercury in Pisces. So this is a Mars that is dealing with things. Okay, this Mars is not um, comfortable. It doesn't get any favorable aspects, and it does get a trine from a square to an outer planet, and that planet is Neptune. Okay, and I previously talked about Mars in Gemini, and I said, well, a lot of things Mars is trying to do right now will be actually done by Uranus in 2025, 2026, when Uranus enters Gemini. So I began this with changing my location to the current location. I said, right now I'm in South Israel. In the countries, we have a lot of rebelliousness, a desire to save the structure of democracy at the same time with dealing with a deep escalation of a political conflict, in things that a lot of people who are Jews are kind of being reminded of, and memories are being triggered, and reconsideration from many aspects of this thing. Probably you heard in the news, because this time it was in the news, um, and a lot of what people try to do right now with this Mars and Gemini Neptune thingy, and Jupiter in Aries, which increases Martian tendencies. Our Martian philosophy is thinking about war, battle, civil rights, civil war. Those things will be in play more when Uranus hits Gemini. And of course, the same goes for the United States. Here, the United States is in a turmoil for several years now, both with the Pluto return and with the upcoming, you know, Uranus entering um, basically the exact location where in Hebrew we say pakal. It's like every time Uranus is in Gemini and United States has a Uranus return or Uranus opposition, but more so Uranus return, there is some sort of civil unrest, civil war, and so on and so forth. Um, so the voice right now is about defending your sense of self, your identity. And this can be both personal, okay, maybe you're a transgender woman, okay, and you're defending your identity. But it can also be mundane. Um, and on a mundane level, the nation state. What is the nation state? Can we say a national democracy? What is, it's not even a what is a democracy. This is more, when Pluto is reaching slowly, applying to ingress to Aquarius, then we get the question of what is power to the people. And right now we're dealing with all these things in these contexts. In many ways, the personal is the political. We see Lilith here trining Jupiter, applying to trine Jupiter in 6 degrees Leo, the Sun in Pisces. A lot of what's going on right now, you're not quite able to communicate in a way that is um, direct. You might be able to communicate through songs, through writings, again, Mercury in Pisces, um, through satire, but they can also be flawed thinking, and they can also be um, lack of clarity around things. So the best, in the best case, the moon is now applying to oppose Pluto. In the best case, you might pinpoint where your flawed thinking is and then do some, correction for that. Um, Venus Chiron, again, you can be more attuned. Like I said yesterday, can be more attuned to your desires, sensual pleasure, voice, respectful of your own boundaries, and defend your boundaries. That being said, because the ruler Mars is with Neptune, they can be, um, it can be that you're trying to defend yourselves in a way that when Uranus does that civil action in that topic, it will be a lot easier. And having Mercury in Aries, I love to give concrete examples. And I noticed that when I give concrete examples about myself, there is less tendency that I will give something an example and then that person said, "Oh, but I didn't want to talk about it. Why do you talk about that?" Even if they're not a client and they spoke about it in some other. So I will give concrete example from my own chart. Um, so to make sure I'm not stepping on anybody's rights, I have Mercury, the ruler of my fourth and seventh, in the second. And that can mean both the awareness needed that the significant other is not possession, but on the counter side, it can also mean that you have a relationship with your possession in such a way that um, you value your position the way you value a relationship. You don't take it for granted that anything you have is choosing to be with you. So it can go both ways. Um, on the other hand, being the ruler of my fourth, this is housing. Yeah, house. The second is also what we own, so owning a house. So um, I've been having these conversations around owning real estate, what my rights are. I found out more about my rights and so on and so forth. And yet, whatever it is that I'm beginning to build here, a lot of things might not fall through. For example, did you know that um, in many places and countries, if I am a business owner and I have to pay taxes and I give you a property, okay, a land, a house, a property, and take care of your property taxes as donation, this is tax deductible, so it helps me not pay high taxes, and it helps a person that perhaps otherwise could have not reached having a property, having land, having a home, or keeping a home, keeping property taxes, and so on and so forth. Um, and that is all tax deductible. So donation is tax deductible. And so there shouldn't be a reason where, regardless of the welfare state, people can need to live without basic things like having a house, having land. Think about the French Revolution. The people who were in the French Revolution who were involved in were landowners. Okay, today we don't have landowners. We hardly have them when we talk about the people who go out to demonstrate or the people who go out to rebel. They usually live in rent. They usually do not own land. And one of the discussions that I saw in Israel that perhaps if you're American, you want to know about it because us Israelis are getting a lot of offers for investments, especially during the financial crisis, whether it's Section 8 or people who are evacuated from their homes. And a lot of people made their fortune in real estate in the United States in dollars, which of course are not taxed in Israel. Okay, if I live in Israel and I make money in the United States, it's not taxed in Israel. Um, and a lot of these people do not revolt against the regime, against the Israeli regime, because their money is already coming from outside and they are not insinuated to do both an act of speech or an act of revolt against structural changes to the democratic state and the separation of religion and the state. And even though, for example, Israel is considered the Jewish democracy, there's a difference between making sure that Jews will not be slaughtered like in the Holocaust and union between religion and the state. Israel has always been secular from the day of its birth. It has always been secular. Um, in fact, there were Jewish people that found it difficult to accept the Israeli regime because it was not orthodox. Yes, Israel has always been secular and has always had in its Declaration of Independence the respect for the three religions and the respect for every gender and so on and so forth. So the Declaration of Independence is a very important certificate when you come to assess how are we in implementing that and so on. But when a person has real estate and has wealth and is not affected personally by anything that's happening there and do not have the incentive to act and to revolt. And this is another thing I just, it was not my own point. I was just reading a discussion today from an Israeli who is in Netherlands, actually. Like, I'm half Dutch and she's in Netherlands as an immigrant. And she was like, why are you not doing even more So my answer was it's a global thing. It's not just an Israeli thing. Of course, we're doing, but it's a global thing. It's not that one country is becoming less democratic and the other countries are just like democracies you can escape to as a refugee. No, like Netherlands bought land from people so they won't grow food in the name of, carbon emission. um, us having to eat is not non-environmental. Okay. Transporting goods from other countries, I don't know what countries, because all across the board, even in Czechia, in Czech Republic, as I learned from Mark Bayersky, this is also being done. The government pays farmers and landowners to not grow crops, and they check to see if you grow crops. Okay, so this is not Israel. Okay, um, and of course, there are implications to that because if people are hungry, who are the people who get food? Who are the people who don't get food? Of course, there is racism. It's just done in different ways through regulations, through rules, and so on and so forth. Um, and so another person commented and said, well, people who have real estate and are millions in dollars don't have the incentive to go out to the street and demonstrate or carry their guns, because Israelis do have guns, um, and go and make a change. And so, wow, I did not expect this to be mundane episode, but it happened. It just so happened. Well, the moon is applying to Pluto, so of course we're talking about mundane structures that are um, altering and the voice of the people, the personal identities of people and peoples, of women and women, trans women, um, of freedom of speech, expressing our voice, our opinions. And so when I was giving a concrete example about real estate, and I realized, just in the last days, I was seeing this shop that sells furniture, and they were very stylish, simple, stylish, European, beautiful, classy, and the price was so astronomical. And of course, I was very respectful. I was surprised but respectful. Um, and later, I just put it, whenever I have something that I feel like I need to consider, I just put it under my pillow and I say, I'll sleep on it. Because I took the prospect and I put it under my pillow and I woke up realizing, oh, damn, of course it's expensive, because if I have a business and I have to pay taxes, then that's tax deductible. If I buy that, and some people, so many people just look for where to invest their money. If I have this furniture of that company or that designer, then it is wealth. Okay, it is value. And also it's tax deductible. And that's important. Then when I realized, oh my gosh, housing is tax deductible. Like people should not be spending time in the street or in cars or whatnot, where they can have a beautiful place that they can recover and that they can relax and rest, and then try to see, what do they like to generate. Like I'm doing these videos when I'm, so tired, and so nothing motivates me other than the desire to bring this information and to do something that I shine at. Or if I'm painting, just when the whole world is going AI, nothing sparks me other than the desire to do something meaningful in the world. It's a natural desire that people have, um, that is also economical. And so our real estate is tax deductible. There shouldn't be no housing crisis, as it's so easy to solve it, right? But obviously, just asking, I don't know, some real estate companies for a pro bono housing, tax deductible housing, which I'm not above doing. I already have. Um, just doing that is can obviously, like, Neptune is there. Like it can, like, I could be surprised, but also what will not be done with this initiation of just nicely asking, hey, that's tax deductible for you, that's a safe place to live for, my people, then why can't we, like, that's a win-win. Can we can arrange this social change, or we can arrange this topic in a way that's actually a win-win for all of us, because hey, when you pay taxes, it doesn't reach us. When you pay taxes, we may get a bit of welfare, we may get a bit of rights. There are so many people who kill themselves, try to kill themselves, cause themselves tremendous ailments upon just trying to um, speak out and advocate for themselves or find their rights. Um, and there are so many things that keeping people from just having their rights. If you got sick, or if you went through violence, or got hurt in a trauma or in a terror attack, or in the army even. People who serve the army, and both in Israel and in the United States, you have veterans in the street, literally, like veterans in the street, and people blame them for the choices that they did, like what, to serve your country, you know? This is insane. Um, and while all of these rights are tax deductible. So it's like, okay, if the state is being so hard, we definitely need to change that. And we also definitely need to be aware that these solutions are so easy. You're having land, you're having a home, you're having a car, you're having this good travel, a good vacation. Okay, the life, the good life. I'm not even talking about survival. The good life is tax deductible. If I go to a furniture shop and they ask me for, the equivalent of $1,000 for an armchair that is beautiful and stylish and classy and simple European, at $30,000, I understand that these $30,000 are tax deductible, and so it is my interest as a business owner to buy something very expensive that has value, and it's also the interest of the designer, because then so many people can gain from that. Anybody who works in designing that, anybody who has been a part of this company, can be well paid and hopefully well treated. Like, I'm not saying it happens, but it can be. We can get ethically sourced luxury products that are tax deductible. Okay, if my Lamborghini is tax deductible, it means that everybody who works in the factory for Lamborghini, works in their sales, works in their think tanks groups, can be well paid. There's nothing wrong, right? And again, there could be many things that we still need to see. But of course, we need to also understand that this can be a naive approach. And this naive approach is good. It can do good things. It can do amazing things in the world. Yet when Uranus hits the fan, this is where all these people that could tax deductibly solve housing, environmental issues, food security, having a good life vacation, a medicine that actually does fit the patient, and you know, I've been activist about that in a while. Those people are now having this window of opportunity where they can act. When Uranus is going to hit Gemini, for me it is my fourth house, but it's not just for me, it is my fourth house. And that can come in many ways. It can mean that I have a space technology in my house, for example. I know I was thinking to buy this like big massage armchair, and I just call it the spaceship. So I'm like, oh my gosh, this the spaceship is actually a remedy. Like, it's actually a remedy for Uranus in the fourth. Having something that you call the spaceship in your house, or design that is like, space-like. Um, we also have Chiron, and also the ruler is in the second zone in a house. So unusual wealth coming through innovation, technology, or revolution, revolt. Okay, so as a result of a societal revolt, okay, I could have a house. On the other hand, if I was on the side that had a house, that already owned a house, owned land, as a societal revolt, I could lose that wealth. And whenever I can, I try to elegantly tell people around, not so to threaten them, but actually inform them of the many ways that they can have their security and wealth needs met alongside the needs of the security and wealth needs of their tenants, prospective, customers, clients, and so on and so forth. Okay. Just putting a solar rooftop over your property allows you to give fixed, stable rent for a couple of years for the tenants, depending on the municipality and the municipality taxes. Okay? Which is something that a lot of people would desire to have. So there are all those intermediate changes, and I feel like even what's happening in my country is like that Mars in Gemini trying to do these intermediate changes and express the voice, Venus, of the identity that has been wounded, individual rights. And this is very much about individual rights. When Uranus hits Gemini, then we're going to have social um, discussion. So you're healing your voice, and it's not until 2025, 2026 that you're going to see the full results of healing your inner voice, healing the concept, your sense of self, your identity, your relationship with property, with ownership, um, with women or the feminine, with you as a woman, with women around you, um, and sometimes with women, Venus in Aries is the Martian woman, is the innovator woman, is the not necessarily scientist, but definitely entrepreneur woman. It's the woman rabbi, it's the woman priest, it's the woman imam, um, it's the woman provider, okay, Venus, Jupiter, and like your whole understanding of your self identity could transform during this, also during this transit. Like, who am I? And these notions. Saturn, Mercury, Saturn met in Saturn to 29th degree of Aquarius. So the people, the structures along the generations. And I only have like 2%. Like I said, it's going to be a short video. So I'm going to leave it at that with the Venus wisdom on a Venus day, both on a mundane and a personal level. And you see how your own life play into the generational, the structure, and the societal structure. You might feel like this does not apply to you at all, and just the personal stuff apply. But some of you have personal planets connected with other planets or transits of other planets, as I have. Neptune on my ascendant, Uranus right on my sun. Okay, Pluto just finished crossing my lot of fortune. It's separating from a square to Mercury for me. So everything and anything is, and finishing its opposition by sign to my moon, okay? So I'm very much attuned to that which is beyond the self. You might be more or less attuned according to your personal transits and personal chart. Um, so that's a time where your concepts around yourself are healing. You might not be able to communicate everything just yet. You might be starting to do something, but understand that even your supposedly failed attempts, and again, I'm going to bring the example of, I have a Facebook friend who is a lawyer, and years ago she ran to the head of the municipality of Jerusalem, and she knew she was not going to be elected. Okay, like I said, when I applied to several real estate companies for pro bono housing that's tax deductible, it's not like I did it expecting that they were all, compete over me, right? Although they can. Um, but when that lawyer did that and applied for the head of the municipality of Jerusalem years ago, she understood she's opening the gate of thought, the conceptual gate to having a female mayor, which indeed happened years later, years after. So you think about, a black person running from being the president of the United States, um, during, uh, I don't know, like 100 years ago, if that was even possible. Okay, but that can later yield Obama, let alone Obamacare. Um, so yeah, it's just 1%, and I do want to keep this video, so I'll tell you bye bye. Have a great Friday, Saturday, and Sunday.